office meeting. We're going to go over some things that are happening in our office specifically. And then we're going to go at the end of the meeting to a mastermind around how to win with contracts. I know a lot of people have said that that's been their favorite team meeting that we've had over the past couple months. So we really want to make sure we bring that back and make sure that we're winning with our offers. So first things first, let's, Henry, are you on? Do you want to do your mortgage minute or do you want to do it in person?
I don't know. I'm on actually with you guys. I still don't have my camera on though, do I? Let me do that really quickly. There we are. So I'm in the building, yeah. I just figured I would do it from here and make it a little bit easier on everyone else. Can you all hear me okay?
We can hear you.
Awesome. All right. Well, thank you again. First of all, I'd like to say congratulations, Madison, on your new position. I think that's awesome. I think you're going to bring a lot of energy and experience and everything that we need here at the KW family. So I just wanted to say congratulations. And I think that you were a very good pick for that position. So a little bit about our Colorado market right now. Obviously, we are all out there battling against, multiple offers. And I feel like right now, one of the things that I would like to do to try to help, and I know you guys are going to have a mastermind about this today also, is, what things can your lender do for you to help land some deals, right? So I've been lucky enough to work with a lot of you, and we have been putting in deals, and we have been just kind of trugging along. I do notice that Saturday and Sunday are, obviously the times that we put those in. One of the things that one of my realtors did this last weekend was they put their own date on there, or their own time on there when that deal was due. And so when I actually call the listing agent and I talk to the listing agent, I kind of felt like it'd be good for you guys to know what we do when we call them. So some of the things that we do as the lender is we let them know things like we are local. We let them know things like, how quickly we can close. We also let them know what confirmation of information that we have. That's really important because to a listing agent, when they talk to their client, they're going to talk to them about if they talk to the lender or not. They're also going to find out what things have already been confirmed. So when I talk to a listing agent, and I'm going to give you a quick example of how that works, but I also confirm everything that we've already done with that client so that they know that they're ready. In addition to that, we always offer a 15-day close, if possible, for your client. And that has actually won 2 contracts in the last 2 weeks for us. So it obviously is not as good as cash, but if you can tell them 15 days, then I think that makes them feel a little bit better. So I'm going to ask for a volunteer. I see some people in the room. I see Carol Van Beek. I see Tim Catman. I see Andrew Dessen. I see Jamie. I believe I see Bud Doyle.
Bud is here.
And then I see the person that literally sits next to me in the office next to me, and I cannot remember your name, so I do apologize for that. And then obviously Debbie Connor. So I'm going to ask Tim to be my listing agent. And I just kind of want you guys to understand kind of what happens when I call on a deal. So Tim, are you up for it? Can you hear me?
Let's do it.
All righty, buddy. So let's see here. Carol, you'll be my buyer's agent. And basically, Carol will send me over in a text. She'll send me that property address. She'll send me the telephone number. And she'll also send me the name of the listing agent. So that's the information that I get from you as the buyer. And then, Tim, I'm going to call you up. Bring, bring.
Hello.
Hey, Tim, my name's Henry Russell. I'm giving you a quick call. I have a client that just submitted an application on your 123 Nobody Street, and just wanted to give you a quick call and answer any questions that you may have about that offer.
Oh, very cool. Yeah, we just received it.
Awesome. Well, hey, just so you know, really quickly, we have confirmed their credit, we've confirmed assets, we've confirmed employment, and we've also confirmed their income. We've done this by a written verification of employment, a written verification of income. We've also put them through our automated underwriting system. That's for Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, and FHA, and VA in some cases. The one thing that we really like to do for all of our buyers, though, is we actually send them through our physical underwriting. And so an actual underwriter has looked at their file and has confirmed all the information that I'm telling you right now. And again, our underwriting, closing, processing, funding, and doc drawing are all here locally in Highlands Ranch, Colorado. So I just wanted to make sure that you knew all of that information while you were looking at our offer. Are there any other questions that I could answer for you, Tim?
Well, that's very cool. Yeah, you'll be my point of contact then, Henry, on this one, if that's the offer we accept.
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear your whole thing there.
He asked if you were going to be the point of contact if they accept the offer.
Yes, I'll be your point of contact throughout this process. We actually call, you'll actually receive notifications every step of the way on the file. So you'll know when we order the appraisal, you'll know when we get the appraisal back, you'll know when the file goes into underwriting, you'll know when it comes out of underwriting, you'll know when the file is clear to close, and you'll know when docs go to title. That's an automated email that you'll receive automatically, but you will also receive a call from myself every week with just a quick status update. And don't worry about it. If you don't answer the phone, the information that I leave usually goes a lot like this. Just wanted to let you know that we're still on track per the contract to close on time. That's all it will be. And I just do that just to make sure that you have all the information possible on a weekly basis so you're not wondering about your client. Is there anything else that I could answer for you, Tim?
No, very, very cool, Henry. I appreciate the call, and it sounds like your buyer can get to the closing table if we go that direction. Is that what you're saying?
Awesome. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. So just really quickly, so are we close to being one of the top offers for you right now, or where do we fall in that in the line right now?
Yeah, you're in the mix for sure. Now we do have a cash offer that can close quickly, and the sellers kind of just got notified that they have to move a little bit sooner for their job.
Yeah.
Originally we thought with the 30 days. Is it possible to do it in 21?
You know what? We can definitely get it done pretty quickly. We can do it in 15 days. And so I think that would probably work out for your sellers. And I know personally, my company, we will hit that mark for you automatically. So I do hope that helps us in your decision making when you're talking to your clients. And we're more than happy to even push that to 14 days if that helps out for you a little bit. I don't know if it will or not. But again, we're definitely willing to do that to get our clients, this house.
Fantastic. Well, thank you, Henry. I'll be in touch. That does help a lot.
Awesome. Thank you so much. I appreciate your time, Tim. All right, so that's basically what happens when I talk to a listing agent. I wasn't sure if you all knew what we did when we did that. Not everyone does it that way, but that is what I do on a daily basis, usually on Saturdays and Sundays at 3 o'clock and 5 o'clock and 7 o'clock. It's just super important that we talk to them. So I wanted to make sure that you guys heard and saw that. Did anybody have any questions for me on that? No? All right. Thank you. I appreciate the time.
Thank you so much, Henry. Appreciate it.
No problem.
Okay, so we're going to move on really quickly because we want to make sure that we get plenty of time for masterminding. Another thing backed by popular demand is we're going to start announcing upcoming listings in the office. So there are a couple rules that before we start announcing that we need to make sure that we're following so that we do not get in trouble and Debbie does not chew our butts out. So Debbie, what do we need to follow?
So you got to hang with the coming soon rule. So you can talk about it within the office to each other. Don't send marketing out without doing it within the guidelines. And we can even post that clear cooperation rules again out with this video as well. So it's right at your fingertips. If you let one person in, you've got to let everybody in. So if you start showings ahead of time, and you get one of those calls that, oh, I got somebody here from out of town, they're here for 5 minutes, we got to go now. If you let them in, you got to let everybody in. So the seller can choose to take offers anytime they want to. The thing you've got to do is call everybody else that has already shown or has possibly been scheduled and notify them that there's a change in the information in the MLS and give them the opportunity to also submit offers. So everybody has the opportunity to make offers and
Awesome.
any questions?
Okay, guys, so just to kind of recap that, if you couldn't hear her, we're announcing upcoming listings starting today. We will put them in a Google Drive spreadsheet. Please make sure that you understand you're not allowed to let anybody show the property before it is open to the public. That does not mean that you can't allow our agents to schedule appointments up front. So we can, I know it's been really hard to get people in for scheduling. So make sure that our agents get an opportunity to schedule their showing. It also doesn't mean that they can't make an offer before. Sight unseen, but make sure that if you accept that the seller has in writing that they understand that if they accept an offer before it goes on the market, that they understand that they're potentially losing out on more money. So, everyone clear on that? Awesome. So, who has upcoming listings?
One
Can we?
thing, there's a lot of background noise from people that are not muted. So if you could just ask people to please mute, thank you.
Perfect. Okay, I think we muted everybody.
And then they get it all lined up.
Oh, William is not muted. Let me mute him. Okay, great. Okay, everyone's muted. So anyone have upcoming listings? Please take yourself off mute if you have an upcoming listing you want to announce. All right, Bud, what do you got?
I have two, both coming on next Thursday. One in Trailmark, kind of south of 470 off of Wadsworth, 4-bedroom, 4-bath, about 4,000 square feet. And we're going to look to list probably about $839 or $849. So still determining the final price.
Okay.
Showings will start on Thursday. And then a second one, a condo in Meridian, 2-bedroom, 2-bath, right by kind of Lincoln and I-25. And that'll list for $375 showing starting next Thursday.
Awesome. Anyone else? We will make sure that this is all in a spreadsheet to you. If y'all ever have upcoming listings that you want to be added to the spreadsheet, just make sure that you email Victoria front desk at kwexecutives.com. I'm like, why did I not know that off my head? So anyone else have upcoming listings? All right, I fully expect that we'll have more next week. All right, we're ready to go. Bye. Got some upcoming listings. Okay, we're gonna next you're gonna teach a class on how you're getting those listings. Great. So next we have our culture award. Carol is going to present. So Carol received the culture award last month and she is passing it on this month. Who are you passing it on to?
Victoria.
Victoria. And why are you passing it on to Victoria?
She is just so sweet, so helpful, always a smiling face when you come into the office. You know, like if she's not there, it's hi. You give me a word that's not in my hand, it's here.
We're working on it. We're working on it.
Bright my day every time I come in, and they're just extremely helpful. And yeah.
It was weird not having you here last week.
Yes, I think we realized how much culture she brings to our office when we didn't have her last week, and we were all like, this is way too quiet.
I know, I'm coming in every day, and I'm like, what happened to her?
So no more break.
So congratulations, and you will be responsible for passing that award on next month. So we'll make sure that we get that on schedule for meeting. Next, we're going to go on to other culture committee items, and Josh is going to talk to us about this weekend's. What is it? Don't say it, Josh. What is it? The shredding event. I'm glad y'all listen. Okay, Josh.
Should I stand up?
It doesn't matter. Just make sure you talk loud so
Okay.
people online can hear.
It's actually my birthday on Saturday,
Woo!
so I wanted to invite you all to my party. It's gonna be at 10 o'clock here. Bring your documents. No, yeah. So like you all said, it's the shredding event. It starts at 10 o'clock. Yeah, bring your A game. We're gonna have hot dog stands, courtesy of Carol. We're gonna have some good times, and hopefully it's not raining. It will not be raining.
It will not be raining.
Not.
And anyone that wants to join us afterwards, we are going to have a happy hour in honor of Josh's birthday. So stay tuned for details.
Hey Madison, a question that I've had a couple agents text me on is they're asking if the shredding actually happens at the truck on site, and the answer is yes. So they're not taking it off in a truck somewhere and then shredding it. It actually gets shredded. You can even stand there and watch and listen to it get shredded if that's what you're into.
Great
While you're eating
question.
a hot dog.
Great answer. Any other questions about the shredding event? Who's planning on showing up? Great, we'll work on the rest of you. Awesome. Next is another culture committee item. We have Red Day coming up. So Jamie's going to talk about Red Day.
Okay, so Red Day is Thursday, May 13th. If you want to purchase a shirt, you know, that beautiful Red Day shirt that Madison and I had on the video last week, they are $20, which includes shipping. You can use our office Venmo account. It's KW Cares DSM for Denver South Metro. It's KW and then a space Cares space DSM. I had trouble finding it. So you can Venmo the money, add your size into the comments. And if you wanted to provide an additional donation for Red Day, that would be awesome. We actually have already received some donations. So thank you to all of you that have already donated. We were already able to order all of the art supplies that the kids at the school need for their cardboard challenge. They are making individual robots this year. 2 years ago, we helped them do arcade games out of like large scale cardboard creations. And this year they're using shoeboxes to make their own robots. So they have all of their art supplies on order. Thank you, Debbie Connor, for ordering everything. So that's taken care of. So volunteer opportunities for Red Day on the 13th is still a little to be determined. We are going to be setting up collection bins at a couple of the King Supers, and we can go to the stores those days and pick up the donations that are there. But due to COVID, we're not allowed to stand outside and hand out anything and take donations in person. So we're trying to figure out a workaround. And the rules may change a little bit in the next couple weeks, so we're keeping our fingers crossed. But we will need people to go and pick up the collections at the King Supers and then bring them here to be packaged, and then we'll have to bring them to the school. I did ask them if we could do outdoor yard work at the school on Red Day and just not step into the building. And if we can't do that there, it's a Littleton Public School, we might be able to do it at a different school or STEM or something locally as well. And then we will have the flyers with the information that the school is collecting to restock their food pantry on flyers. So it'll be an opportunity for you guys to door knock. And if you want to set up maybe a collection day or something with your sphere or your database people locally, or have them come to the office and drop stuff off, we can do that on Red Day as well. So we're kind of finalizing some details. It's been a little sketchy, so stay tuned for all of that. I think that's it.
Any questions about Red Day?
So any donations that you guys send in through Venmo, or if you want me to do some shopping for you, or we can do that on that day, we can kind of designate people to go out and pick up orders, order stuff online in stores or whatever. They still need playground equipment too. The balls and stuff that we provided for them the last couple of years, that, and then as well as picking up maybe a Costco order or Sam's Club or something for additional food for their food pantry. So thank you.
Awesome. Any questions about Red Day? Does everyone have Red Day blocked off on their calendars?
Yes, be there. It's super fun. And whether you're here or you're collecting somewhere else, like, it's a day that our company shuts down, and it's just a company-wide initiative. So you should be doing something for your community. So plan on volunteering, buy a Red Day shirt, join the club. It's super fun.
Yep. Make sure you post on social media.
Yes.
All right. Any questions online? Awesome. Man, we covered all those housekeeping items quick. That was my goal, because I was like, I don't want to spend the whole time talking about housekeeping. So thank you all. If you have not signed up for a committee, I encourage you to do so. Please go back on the Facebook group and sign up for one. I know Jody is looking for people to serve on her health and wellness. she was going to pop on here and talk a little bit about what her plans were for the Health and Wellness Committee this year. I know that she's focusing a lot on mental health this year, which I think is so important for where we are, just in work and life and everything going on right now. So please reach out to her if you'd like to be on her committee. We definitely want to get that going, up and going. So that being said, let's switch on over into mastermind talk. Who's had buyers recently that have gone under contract, and what have you done to win those offers?
Mine was, she's FHA first time home buyer, minimum money to go over. And we put offers in on a lot of places, got me out. And then this last weekend, we went and looked at houses and liked every single one. But you can only put offer on one. And we got beat out. And then Monday before I left, I'm like, I'm just gonna look and see if the other ones went under contract. And one didn't. And I called the agent, he's like, I don't know what happened. He's like, we didn't get anything. So we put in an offer at asking price with a 3-week close and gave him a 4-hour turnaround, and she got it. So it's like, don't assume everything's gonna get all those offers, but we still wrote it like we would if you're gonna compete.
Mm-hmm.
At putting in like being like easy on the inspection, like only health and safety or things above X amount. And then we even put it appraisal gap just to make it look better. So they're not like, oh, well, we'll just wait for another offer and see if something better comes. So it's being aggressive but being smart. I think it's good to sit down and really talk with your buyers ahead of time and figure out, okay, if we're going to do an like a clause of, you know, appraisal gap or anything like that, know what their amount is ahead of time. But it's interesting.
Yep. Anyone else who's been winning? Yep.
So I had one that, you know, I was going through the ringer week after week, putting in offers, getting out bid. And when we finally got the offer accepted, I guess a couple points that I feel like in this case got us the winning offer was, one, I called the listing agent and really asked him what the buyer was looking for. And, you know, we say that, but one thing I got out of that conversation was that the seller was really, the most important thing was someone who would get to the closing table. He did not want to go through an inspection and then go back on the market and this and that. In fact, he was waiting to even start looking for his next house until the day we closed because he was so nervous about all this. And if I hadn't made that call and really asked a lot of questions, I wouldn't have got that. And the advantage what really I think he said, they ended up taking our offer, and there were ones that were a little bit higher that they didn't take because my buyer, her best friend lived half a mile away. I mean, there were a lot of things I was able to offer to him that she's been looking forever, blah, blah, blah. But there were some things that we were really able to cement that just because of asking those questions. You know, if we hadn't done that and really emphasized that, I don't know that we would have gotten selected. We also, appraisal gap is, I guess it can be tricky. You're when you're bidding 50,000 over or whatever we're having to do in these, they may have enough cash, but what we did was we got the lender on the phone and my client and really worked out what she could truly do to make that have as much teeth as possible without putting her in a position that she couldn't handle. And those two, and then relaying that to the listing agent, I think really made them comfortable that she was putting absolutely everything she could into this house and wanted it and didn't want to go through all this without knowing she was going to get to the closing table. So, I think lesson I learned was, it really is important to talk to the listing agent and then relay everything you can to satisfy what the seller's looking for.
Yep. And I'll add to that. So I put a quote in our Facebook group today: slow down and do it right the first time. We automatically assume that these little details that they're going to counter back. If it's only one little thing, they'll just counter back and say that they need the, holdover period or whatever, lease back. We just assume those things. Do it right the first time, because like you said, if nothing else, it just proved that he was listening to what the seller needed. So.
Well, there's a lot of agents, like, it is important to call and talk, because there's a lot of agents that are just putting in offers without even asking you, but like, even if you put in the notes, be like, call me first, 'cause we need to line up dates, and sometimes you'll just get an offer, and you're like, you're not even listening, or you're not filling out an offer all the way. And I put in my notes, especially on the listing side, I put in the notes section, if you were capable of filling out your offer. And if you weren't, is that how you're gonna be the whole time? So learn how to write your offers. If you don't know how, you need to be showing up to class to figure it out, because it makes a difference. There's times that offers get accepted, not because they're the highest, but because they're actually correctly written. And so it's important, like, don't just assume.
I think going along with that, just knowing, it seems simple, but just knowing your contract. Knowing your contract and knowing where the little things are that you can change and when just a little bit here and a little bit here, because all those things add up. So know your contracts. If you don't know your contracts, sign up for one of Debbie's contracts classes. Debbie and I have been in communication about how we're going to do level 1 contracts classes for people who need to fill in the blanks, know how to fill in the blanks. And then we're going to do level 2 contracts class that really digs into how to win, those types of questions, any specific questions you have. So if you are one of those people that's like, I don't want to go to a contracts class because I don't want to, listen to the basics of what to fill in the boxes, sign up for one of those level 2 classes and we can definitely help educate you on the details that you may not know about.
Like, even if they want to start emailing me some of those questions or concerns, I'd love to see them ahead of time, so we can get all the information together ahead of time and do an even better job when you arrive.
Yep.
So that'd be great.
I think in person would be beneficial over online.
Okay.
Because it's a long class.
Yeah.
Stop paying attention. To be honest.
Right.
I hear you. It's easy to do. It's
Well,
easy
be
to do.
honest,
Oh,
it was
yeah.
Zoom.
The person I can poke you, yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Anything else?
Something I saw, so I was kind of poking around on Facebook last night and reading what some other agents are saying all over town. And somebody was saying that they actually have put 4 or 5 buyers under contract last week. And their secret was simple. They were going and looking at listings that were 7 days old and older. And so rather than the buyer putting all the money into the seller's pocket, they were able to write even underpriced offers and then keeping that money because those properties needed some extra TLC, which is why they were still sitting there. So now they're able to fix a property that they can start to build equity on. And I thought, that's pretty genius. And just these simple little things. And several people were commenting that, that's really smart.
Yep. And one thing that we don't realize, and John and I had a conversation about this during our mastermind on Friday, which if y'all haven't come to Flap Tech Friday mastermind, you should. This week is over investing. It's going to be great. So get your pancakes and mastermind. We talked about how he was targeting listings that were still on the market, midweek, because you have less people looking at them. And a lot of them are coming back on the market from buyers that have been like, oh shoot, maybe I don't want that. And there's no backup offers in place. So they're coming back on the market. So let's use that as a strategy. One, we should be putting backup offers on every single property.
Yeah.
Like, I want to have a competition in our office for who can write the most backup offers, because I've heard more people win in backup offer position lately because they're not, they're waiting. That's how I won my house. And if you think back to the psychology of the buyers, first buyer in first position, first thing they think is, oh my gosh, I'm so excited I got the house. Second thing they think is, oh shoot, did I overpay? I just beat out 10 other offers. So they're already going into their mind, into the inspections, thinking that they overpaid for this property, right? A lot of our buyers are going through that. When they get to the inspections and there's more things on the inspection report than they anticipated, they're constantly in their mind thinking, oh my gosh, I already overpaid for this house. And now the seller's not fixing anything. We're missing out on that by being the buyer's agent in second position, constantly keeping in communication with that agent saying, my buyer's still interested. My buyer's still interested. Have y'all gotten inspections? What did the inspections say? Please talk to us before you accept any inspection repairs. None of us are doing that. There's so many offers as proof. It's proof that John said there's so many offers coming back on the market midweek. We need to be taking advantage of that.
And on the compliance side of things, I see a lot of second, that first contract falls and the backup offer was already there to grab. And man, they sign that paperwork so fast and make your head spin.
How many of y'all have written a backup offer in the past month? Great, awesome. Make sure that you're keeping in contact and letting them know that
That's key.
Yep.
It's nice on your listings too to take the backup offers, because then when one falls, you're not having this up and down, and now something looks like there's something wrong. You're just automatically moving into the next.
Yep. Anything else on that? Anything online?
One thing I was going to say is
Yep.
kind of what Kristen and Scott said is to really, I've fortunately been able to kind of real estate gods have smiled on me a little bit past some listings lately, is to really like read what the broker remarks are or so and kind of play within that sandbox. I'll give you an example. I had a call once from actually a KW agent, and I go through the weekend and give everybody a fair shake, and then we review all offers are due by Monday. Most people don't. I basically had an agent on a Thursday submitted a below price offer on my and it's like you want to try to make friends with the listing agent. And I'm like, well, actually, if you read the broker remarks, we're going to go through the weekend and give everybody a fair opportunity. And we're even, because my client was out the weekend, I was actually going to have a fun weekend and not have to respond in an hour. Well, he's like, well, so are you saying you're not going to present my offer? And I'm like, yeah, that's what I'm saying. He's like, well, we're going to have a problem. And I was like, oh my God. And all of a sudden, I'm like paranoid of like the real estate commission coming.
Right.
And it's like, but the rules of engagement were clearly stated. And it's like, you kind of like piss me off. I'm like, you know what? Fine. I'll present your offer. And it just was a really bad way to do business, and so literally I got off the phone, I called my client, I'm like, you don't want to take a 620 offer, do you? He's like, no way. I'm like, okay, thanks. And I'm like, I presented your offer. And my clients, but it's like, a lot of people won't even pick up their phone. I choose to try to return every call or pick up the phone, but it's just to really watch what those clues are, if you will, that are in the broker remarks, and then kind of play by those rules, because it just, I don't know. And that's only happened once. And it just was like, dude, I'm like, I'm KW too. I'm like, who are you?
Yeah.
And, but it just, right away, I'm like, oh my God, the real estate commission's gonna, I'm gonna get a call from Debbie, bud.
You gotta present the offer.
Yeah.
You're like, I am.
I was getting nervous when Debbie called me.
Well, when they act like that, you're like, this is how you're gonna be the whole time.
Exactly.
And I put in my notes when we're doing the side by side, and I'm like, this person was being a jerk, or this person was being a bully.
Yeah.
And they're like, so no, and I'm like, it's up to you. I'm like, I will always deal and make the best of whatever we have going on, because it's at the end of the day, the big picture.
Yep.
And I was like, but we have other offers where people aren't behaving that way.
Yeah.
And it's like, you lose out on your clients when you act like that, and it spreads. Because then if you run into that person again on another deal, you're gonna be like, no.
Yeah. I remember this guy.
No,
Yeah.
we can talk this one up higher.
So just, there's a respect level between professionals or so, and it's just to really kind of abide by the rules of whatever the listing agent has set out as a way to kind of gain faith, because, I do like it when people call or so, and, hey, did I catch you at a bad time, blah, blah, blah. So just certain things you can do, no guarantee you're going to win, but at least to kind of show respect to your fellow realtors or so that are working, everybody's working really hard. So anyways, just
Love
just
that.
a rare story. And honestly, it's only happened once in what, 6 or 7 years.
Well, that happens more than you think.
It's happening.
There's a technical term for an agent like that, and it's called jackassery.
Yeah.
And it's, when that starts to show up, it will continue through the transaction as rule. Yeah.
If we're gonna be bullied now, we're gonna be bullied in inspections. We're gonna be bullied when it comes to appraisal. We're gonna like.
Debbie, on that, how does the real estate commission come down on that in Bud's situation? Does he have, if he's listed that all offers will be presented Monday, is he obligated to present that?
But not right then and there, just because they give you a 4-hour deadline or
That's
a
what it was.
2-hour deadline, doesn't mean that you have to jump through hoops. His sellers left town, so the house would be available the entire weekend, right? And it was made public in the MLS to all agents that the property offers would be reviewed at a certain time on Monday. Just because you wrote it earlier, all you have to do is make a phone call or email the offer through to the seller. You just sent it. And I think,
We'll get to you, Robin. 1 second.
yeah,
If you had something in writing from the sellers saying, we are gonna be out of town until Monday and we do not wish to receive any offers.
Or the
before
deadline before.
Like if
Right.
it said in writing, you are under no obligation but to present any offers that come in.
doesn't hurt. I think
Okay.
anytime that you can reinforce a seller's position or your position in CYA,
Yeah,
it's always good to get things in writing. More is better than nothing, but, it's, to me, it's no different than somebody going, oh, we want to come in and see that property because we're only going to be here for 5 more minutes before we get on a plane. It's like, that's your issue,
Yeah.
right?
Robin, did you have something you wanted to say on that?
I do. It's kind of hard to hear all the conversations. Sorry about that. So you may have already talked about this, but many times what they're doing is they're putting the deadline, offers in by noon on Monday. We'll have a response back Tuesday at such and such a time. But our seller has the option of accepting an offer before that. And so you kind of have to figure out, and I guess the best way to do this is to talk to the agent and kind of get an idea of what the seller needs and what they want and all of that. But so I submitted an offer with a shorter deadline to try to beat, all the millions of offers that would come in on the weekend. And he said, well, we're just not going to respond to it. And I said, that's fine. I understand. He wanted to wait, but he did have in his, in the verbiage that the seller has the option of accepting an offer prior to that. So then what do you do in that case?
Still put the deadline for the date that they were talking about and get your offering sooner. Because sometimes you're just like, well, I'm going to wait and see what other offers come in to make sure my offer coming in is competitive. I always just put it in and respect the day and time that they said. And then if they choose, if they're like, okay, we've got 30 offers, we don't want any more, we're just going to accept something, they'll look at what they have and you want to make sure yours is in. And then we just keep in contact with the agent, just being like, hey, if we need to make adjustments, if other things come in that knock us out of the ballpark, let us know and we'll resubmit if we're able to make adjustments.
Great.
But I think when you don't respect that agent's timeframe that they put out, then they've already kind of pushed you to the side because they feel like you're not going to play well. But then I think a lot of agents are putting in, but they can't accept something sooner. That way, if they do accept something, other agents are coming back and like, well, you said, like they're just covering their butts.
Right.
Like, Debbie, can you just ask her flat out, say, hey, is there a number this weekend that would cause you to accept it now?
You can ask
Yeah.
anything you want. Yeah, you can ask anything that you want. And remember, if you're representing your client, you're bound by, rules and regulations of what you can say back. You can always ask anything you want. When you're sending those offers through and you're putting a shorter time frame on it, that offer still needs to be presented to the seller. Even if the offer time has expired, you should still present it to the seller. The seller could look at that offer and go, I really like this offer. And the way to revive that offer is then to send a counter proposal not accept a counteroffer. You can't do it with an event because the contract's not accepted. It's a proposal.
Right.
One thing also I was going to say is, on the buy side, it's like, submit your highest and best. You know what I mean? Like, as we work with our clients, sometimes it's like, well, my client's price point is $450 to $5. They probably should be looking at $400,000 houses.
Yeah.
In this market, other than your example, but because what happens is I'll get calls on a Sunday. Hey, bud, yeah, just curious to know, we have 100 showings. Right now we have about 13 offers in hand. I haven't looked at any of them. Well, can you tell me what your highest is? So, and I don't give that information out because I said as a listing agent, submit your highest and best. I'm not going to leverage the information that I have, or basically leverage somebody so that somebody can come in at 11:30 on a Monday. It's like, I told you to submit your highest and best. And so as we work with our clients on the buy side, like, listen, just know whatever number it is, that if you lose, you're like, I did the very best I could. As opposed to, gosh darn it, if we had only gone 10 grand over, because I don't give that information on a Sunday afternoon. I'm like, yeah, I'll tell you that we have 13 offers, but honestly, having looked at them, now I may have peeked at them, but I'm not giving that information out to anybody before noon on Monday. So you may not get the ability to get, well, what's your highest number, and then come back. So it's like, first, like you said earlier, get it right the first time. Like, listen, we're going all in.
Right.
Here's our number, because there's no guarantee that I'm going to hear back from this Yahoo as to what's happening on most listing agents honestly don't even return calls on the weekend. So you've got to just go in with your best foot forward, knowing we did everything we possibly could, because people aren't going to be able to get, okay, oh shoot, they're at 490. Let's revise the offer. It's 11:28.
I know.
Due by noon on Monday.
And it's been nice too, like, it's so hard because there's such a flip side of the bonus of knowing too. So when we were putting in offers this weekend, I had an agent, he was like, I don't need to present 30 offers. And he's like, so I have written permission from my client to give you a ballpark. And if you're not able to come up to this ballpark, it's up to you. He's like, you can still put in an offer, obviously. He goes, but I just don't want your person to waste your time here, not knowing when there's so many other options that they could be trying out. So that was nice too, because then it was just like, well, that's way more cash than she would have. And so I'm like, and then I'd ask him like, well, is a 2-week close important to them enough to where they'll take something lower? And he's like, no. And I'm like, thank you so much. We're not even going to put one in because it's not going to be even be considered. So on that note, that's nice because more houses are coming up. And then we were able to go put an offer in on something else. So on my listings, I always ask my clients, I'm like, I want to make sure I can tell people like, okay, here's how many offers we have in hand. Are they above? And can I give people ballparks if we get to that point? Because
we don't want to waste people's time either.
And then them losing out instead of going somewhere else, that's hard too. So it was actually kind of nice when I was talking to those agents, and I even wrote their names down and made notes of them. Because I'm like, it was just so nice the way that they conducted that. But I've also had agents that they're like, nope, just put in your highest and best, and they're kind about it. So the way that you act, like, just because you're a listing agent doesn't mean you get to like walk around with your chest all puffed and everything. Like, don't be a turd, because you have buyers too that you're putting offers in on.
Right. Did y'all hear that online?
Sure did. Yeah, the other thing I found out is that in talking to the listing agent before writing an offer, what does the seller need? What are they looking for? Because I found that quite a few of them want to be in the property another month after it's already closed. And if my buyer can't come up with more cash, but they can give them free rent, I mean, terms are just as important as, the competitive prices.
Yep.
I have a couple questions. So this weekend I submitted an offer with a listing agent that was not accepting calls, texts, or emails about the listing. How would you guys handle that piece is one question I have. If she explicitly wrote that in her listing instructions. I mean, I respected her wishes and things like that, but it was really hard to write an offer. How would you guys handle that?
Call her up and smack her.
Williamson.
No, seriously, you're not doing your clients any favors by treating other agents and offers that way. You're not opening up yourself for competing bids. I don't know. There's not much you can do. You try to respect their wishes. But even with that, even similar with some of these agents, you call them up and say, well, do you have offers? Where are you at? And they're vague, you know, about, well, we've got something the seller likes, but we can't tell you what. So how do you keep digging deeper and deeper and deeper? How do you communicate with someone who said, don't communicate with me? You know, what do you do?
Send them a video message. They didn't explode that one.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Yeah, you have to be careful. You have, if any of the stuff that you guys are talking about, I hope you get it in writing on the listing contracts in an email that this is what the seller requests. And that the seller understands the ramifications of the decision. So if the agent is saying, I'm not returning phone calls, I'm not returning text message, take anything on the weekend, I hope to God their seller knows that their listing agents decided to handle things that way, and that they're well aware and that they've given them permission, and that they know that this could impact the price they get for their home.
If you have a listing, you need to know the moment your listing goes active, your phone's gonna ring like every 5 minutes. And if you don't like that, then you might want to refer your listing to another agent that doesn't mind. I mean, it's insane how much your phone rings.
You know, I love answering the phone and talking to people all day long. I mean, that's a part of the job, because I know with every conversation I have with the buyer's agent on my listing, I'm gaining information to help my seller, and that's how you test them out if you're going to be good, if you're going to work good with that other agent. So I mean, yeah, it's 100 calls, but I love it because I'm doing my job. I know I'm serving my clients.
So I have a question for when we're dealing with the agents that do, like you, going back to what Bud said, do leverage other offers against other offers. How do you go about advising your buyer to make an offer? Do you have them make their highest and best up front? Do you have them submit it right before the deadline? Like what would be your strategy or thought on that? Anyone?
If the agent is vague, we'll do an escalation clause. And I've been seeing a lot lately of people on their listings putting in the notes like no escalation clauses. I'm like, if you're saying that, you might not understand them very well. At least that's my thought. Because I think they're fantastic. Because it lets your person be like, well, here's where we're coming in and here's where we're able to go to. I think it's an awesome tool.
Right.
And my thought, which is maybe just negative, is like if you tell people they're not allowed to use them, first of all, you can't tell people.
I love
they can't use them,
escalation clauses.
but
Yeah.
maybe they need to learn more about how to use them properly and what they actually mean.
Right.
But we do that a lot.
Like any other tool in your tool belt, you have, if you need a screwdriver, don't get the hammer out. So you have to use the right tool at the right time, and the clients need to understand the ramifications of that particular tool, of that particular clause. Listing contracts, the seller, you're having that, Mark, you check in that box, and hopefully you have a conversation with the seller that says, the sellers right now are going, yeah, I want everybody to know what the offers are that are coming in so they can beat them out, right? Even though they check that box and given you permission to talk about the offer, before you start talking about them, once they start rolling in, I would call that seller back and say, all right, here's what's coming in. Here's the terms. It's more than just the price. How much about these offers do you actually want me to share? Because they can end up changing their mind and going, you know what, I don't want FHA offers, or I don't want VA offers, or I don't want whatever, right? I don't want chapter or whatever. They need to understand the ramifications of more than just the price, but the terms and everything else that go along with it. So, and then get things in writing, because people have amnesia later on when they get sideways with you.
And sometimes people will say, well, do you have any, fishing around, which is there, do you have any cash offers? I'm like, well, yeah, but cash is not always king.
No.
Because sometimes the terms are not, I mean, it goes, sometimes cash is king, sometimes it's not, because the terms aren't as friendly in terms of, gaps, or they're not put, they've got a cash offer, but not put their money where their mouth is, or so, or inspection is also not on there. Going back to the question earlier with the agent who says no calls, texts, or emails, I would just say, unfortunately, just do the best you can.
Yeah.
Because you control what you can control, which is, okay, we're gonna take a shot at it, and we're just gonna know that if we didn't get it, it wasn't meant to be, because you have no control over whether somebody picks up the phone or not, or how they communicate. You can just control how you communicate, which is get the offer in by a certain amount of time.
Yeah.
So.
Or you can do singing email her.
And then reminding them later.
Email her. William said, or just email her.
No, I said singing, send a singing telegram.
I can't hear you.
Why not?
I don't know. Maybe you should come into the conference room when you want to talk.
There's too many people in there without mask on. Singing telegram.
Send him a telegram.
Singing.
Singing telegram.
Yes.
I'll share one more thing that I've seen happen in the last probably 2 to 3 weeks, and phone calls that I've gotten around it. Agents sending in cash offers, and then partway through the deal, they're getting cash with no appraisal, no nothing, right? And then all of a sudden, our agent's getting a call, and it's an appraiser wanting to schedule an appraisal, and it's with a conventional loan. And they're, wait a minute, this is cash. And they're like, you can't go in and change the terms without an amend and extend, and all parties agreeing to it. You can't go from FHA to conventional, conventional to FHA, cash to a loan. If it wasn't written in the terms and agreed to up front, you will get smacked around by the real estate commission hard.
Yep.
I mean, hard. We've had that happen 3 times in our office in the last 2 to 3 weeks, where they lied about. They're like, well, we could get accepted without saying it was cash. So if you lie about it, that's actually fraud, and your E&O insurance may not cover that. In fact, it doesn't cover fraud. So if you were purposefully misleading the other party, your errors and omissions insurance is going to tell you to take a client leave.
And please make sure if your client has cash that you're verifying funds.
Yeah.
And I would get to know like FHA too, because the one that we just got accepted, it was for an FHA buyer, but they didn't list it as taking FHA. It was a single family home. And I called the agent. I'm like, just out of curiosity, looking at the pictures, it looks like it should pass FHA. He goes, honestly, I just don't know much about it, so I didn't put it on there. So get to know what you can do and what you can't. And then we also fell out on it. We were supposed to close, and a week before it fell out because it wasn't actually a townhouse, it was a condo, and it wasn't FHA approved. And the listing agent was like, oh yeah, I saw that it wasn't FHA approved anymore, but still listed at FHA. So take the 5 seconds it takes to Google your things to see if it's a townhouse or a condo, because it's not always clear, and make sure that it can accept those programs or not.
Lender know that, check with your lender.
Yeah.
Regardless of
Well,
which side you're on.
yeah, regardless, but if you're the listing agent, they're still gonna, like, my buyer's going after the listing agent. And so because he put it out there that way and he refused to do anything about it, and my buyer's out all this money and all this time and finally getting under contract after 3 months. And so like, and the real estate commission is gonna side with the people, not you. And so it's like just learning those little things, you're like, and now forever, I will always check this.
And what an excellent, like going back to what you said about people don't know.
Yeah.
What an awesome opportunity for us as KW agents to spread our culture. If you know you're working with a new agent on the other side, when you send an offer with an escalation clause, be like, hey, I know that these can be confusing. Feel free to call me. I'd love to explain to you how this works.
Yeah.
Like just making sure that we're throwing that arm out there and saying, hey, we'd be happy to educate you. Remember that not everybody has the education that we do. And a lot of these people are just swimming without understanding. So
Well, and even making sure, so with that one, we ended up winning too, because the lender called and spoke to him, because he was like, how can you do this quick at the close of FHA? And I was like, well, I'm gonna have the lender go through all that with you. And he was on the phone with him for like 20 minutes, and that's what, you know, put us over the edge, was having that explanation and everything. So make sure your
Yep.
lender's calling behind your offers, because that makes a difference too.
great. Any final words online? How'd y'all like the mastermind today? Helpful? Good? I've been listening to the things that people have been saying, and I know that people have really enjoyed having the masterminds at team meetings. So we will try to incorporate those more. And maybe next time we'll do a mastermind around getting listings. So I know that that's something that a lot of people have been wanting to do. And there's a lot of creative things that are happening in this office. So why don't we share that? So, all right. Y'all have a good week, and keep an eye on the Facebook page for more updates. If you're not on the Facebook page, make sure you reach out to Victoria, because lots of good information is on there. And Debbie?
There's just one thing. So there's going to be an invite that goes out for the last Wednesday of this month, the 28th, which is going to be our 2020 awards luncheon.
So glad you said that.
So please RSVP that you'll be here in person. So, because we're going to buy a really nice lunch, want to make sure that we don't overbuy and have wasted food, but also want to make sure we have enough.
Yep.
So,
Is that next week or the following? Okay, and if y'all couldn't hear online, 2 weeks from now, the team meeting is going to be an awards ceremony, since we were not able to get that done during the beginning of this year. So we are going to do that the last Wednesday of the month. Please make sure you RSVP, because we are doing a really nice lunch and we do not want to overbuy or underbuy. So make sure you include any food restrictions you have, like gluten-free or anything too.
that would be awesome.
Awesome. Thanks. Y'all have a great week, and look forward to seeing y'all around the office.